first time I've been described as an excursionist, but
like that
it's pretty accurate, really.
That was
A
okay.
grand excursionist.
I excurt.
Well, in the immortal words of Lloyd Christmas, we're really doing it, aren't we, buddies? You guys, is this how Joe Rogan feels?
I think all the time, yeah. Dude, I am really excited about your enthusiasm. We've been going about 15 seconds here, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like in this sphere, I can say anything. So,
Can we say anything? Are there ground rules here? Should we set some ground rules, or the only rule is there's no rules?
I told you guys in the text to feel free to interrupt me with whatever. So yeah,
that's a binding
that's
text.
the only ground rule.
I'll probably have questions.
Yeah, there you go. Well, again, welcome to the Deep Fried Anything podcast. Again, I'm here with the always horsing around Eric Hawk.
That's me.
Yeah, that's him. Yeehaw!
Oh, dude, sound effect.
And the coffee bean baron over here, Fanny Bradford, freshly back from Hawaii. Because my God, Eric and I are pale. Holy shit, this lighting sucks.
You really did the research on your friends. I gotta say.
Yes, I know everything. Real quick, we want to thank Third Wheel Podcast Studios here in Seattle for doing this. None of these production elements we paid for in terms of buying them outright. So we rented this space, and we want to thank them for being here because this is awesome to start a podcast with this type of production value. So thank these guys. And then I just want to give a quick shout out to our buddy Ryan Neighbors from the band Help.
Yeah.
8 months ago, he was like, dude, we should start a podcast. And I was like, hell yeah. And so I've been working on this for like 8 months. And then Ryan's band Help got signed to a really cool label called 31G, which is their Legends. And then they just went to Europe and had like a wildly successful tour. And Ryan came home and was like, hey, man, about that podcast, Help's doing really well. And we're like paying some bills now. So maybe I don't really have the time anymore.
I did just see that guy at a baby shower like a week ago. So.
Yeah, he also mentioned settling down. So
it wasn't his baby shower.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a baby shower crasher.
He didn't tell me that, but yeah, shout out to Ryan because this was honestly his idea to start with, and so I got
the best of the next best thing to the best.
Yeah, plan B for best.
B-boys.
So yeah, and I guess speaking of like going to Europe and finding success before anybody, because he was like, dude, nobody came to our shows in Portland, and then we like went to Europe and we came back, and now like everybody comes to our shows in Portland. And speaking of which, it's a pretty solid game plan for a band, as we'll see as we get into Lou Pearlman and the golden era of boy bands. Basically, this podcast is a narrative series, and we decided to start here. I don't know why, to be totally honest with you, but there were so many things about this story that felt very now, even though this happened when we were teenagers. So at any rate, we're going to get into it. It's going to be a 6-part narrative series. This is going to be the first part. It's a deep dive into Pearlman's shallow pool of delusion, teenage hypersexualization, airships, Trumpian tropes, Ponzi schemes, and achievement by proxy. We should probably acknowledge all the fucking books I had to read and documentaries and exposés.
Give it up for books.
Yeah, give it up for the books, and shout out to the Seattle Public Library, because that's where I got all these books, baby. The first documentary, The Boy Band Con, the Lou Pearlman story, directed by Aaron Kunkel. The book Larger Than Life, A History of Boy Bands from NKOTB to BTS by Maria Sherman, which actually is awesome. The whole book is marketed like a teeny bopper magazine, but don't judge a book by its cover, because she rips. This was like one of the most like she's just on it. She sees the bigger picture of the forest for the trees, and that was actually a really good book. The other one, documentary Larger Than Life, Reign of the Boy Bands, directed by Tamra Davis. There's also the Vanity Fair expose Mad About the Boys by Brian Burrow. And then there was bits and pieces of this book I was just talking to Eric and Thany about, called The Song Machine by John Seabrook, which is kind of about Max Martin and the studio in Sweden that sort of built a lot of pop careers through the 90s. And Max Martin's still a huge, huge songwriter today.
Enormous.
Who's he write songs for?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Name one.
Britney Spears.
That's not now. That's not today. Yeah.
We just went through this. Yeah. Toxic.
Yeah, but Toxic's not a big song. Covers of Toxic are big songs.
Fair enough. The Song Machine was actually a really interesting read. I only kind of skimmed through it because there were only certain sections about Lou Pearlman, which I gotta say, John Seabrook, the writer of The Song Machine, he's hilarious because he's in a couple of these documentaries, and everything he has to say about Lou Pearlman comes with like the most intense eye roll like you've ever seen, and his writing is still the same. He just thinks Lou Pearlman's an idiot, and so the sections in his book about Lou Pearlman are awesome. And then finally, I to be fair, I said earlier that I read this whole thing, but I got halfway through it and I was like, I hate everybody involved in this story. But I read Out of Sync, or parts of Out of Sync by Lance Bass. So good for me. Thank you to the Seattle Public Library. Let's get into it. For context, I think we need to start with just teen star, boy band, child, phenom history. So I did a quick little overview on this because I think it provides some good context. And guys, as we start to get really getting into the juice, baby, you just like stop me if you need any sort of,
I think we're going to have a lot of questions. I already have several, but I want to hold on to them.
My questions will probably start once we get to the airships portion. And I'm going to hold you to there being airships at some point.
Oh my God, there's too many airships.
Zeppelins, blimps, dirigibles, like semi-solid.
Oh my gosh, I won't
Boy bands have never been more
I won't
steampunk.
spoil anything, but we got blimps, we got planes of all sorts and sizes. We even got things disguised as blimps.
Hell yeah.
It's wild.
It's going to get blimpy.
The series is 6 episodes, and I tried to like condense stuff because but every time at every turn it was just like, no, that's fucking crazy. How could you not leave that in? So anyways, we'll get to it here. But for starters, talk about just like the hysteria around young musicians. The first sort of documented was this Austrian guy named Franz Liszt. Franz Liszt was a European child pianist prodigy who was having his musical education funded by Hungarian royalty and other European nobles in Vienna by the time he was 11 years old. Guys, mental note, you're going to want to pay attention to the fact that older men do a lot of financing for young boy musicians.
Young boy musicians don't have any money of their own.
No, especially when you're 11 years old.
I am very small and I have no money. Please, sir. Can I have a career?
Yeah, so
You got to find yourself an older man.
Yeah, musical sugar daddy. So Liszt was highly influenced by the Romanticism movement that was happening in Europe from the late 18th to the mid-19th century. And he created a form of composition and works called symphonic poems, which deviated from the standard symphony structure of a piece of music at the time, having multiple movements in reference to that piece's overarching musical theme. Whereas Liszt's symphonic poems had only one movement whose theme was based on a poem, a piece of art, or even a specific physical landscape. Now, I know that's a lot.
No, that's pop.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty neat. So metaphorically, Liszt wrote Dante and Faust symphonies, which so cool, Eric, because I didn't realize this until I was reading this, and it's like when you think about the context of the Faust symphony being in stuff like Phantom of the Paradise, with your pal Paul Williams,
our special little buddy.
Yes, our special little buddy here. It really puts everything even more into context with how amazing that movie is, because I really didn't realize that this child had written the Faust Symphony for older men who were the musical label at the time. So yeah, unbelievable. So that was
salacious.
So the Dante and Faust symphonies from Liszt are like, metaphorically, they're like conceptually his prog rock albums. Like they're intentionally, the symphonic piece is listened from front to back, and they had long structures, kind of like part A, part B, part C sort of thing. Whereas when Liszt started doing these symphonic poems, which got really, really popular with the pop cultural audience at the time, his symphonic poems are basically, like Eric just said, pop music, are easily digestible, and they're about feelings of the common experiences, poems, art that everybody knows, places you go to, like how many fucking songs are written about the beach or the, it's like, yeah, he was just like, it was like that.
Before that time, that was not the case. They were about the heavens
Yeah.
or of the creator or of very abstract things that only related to the upper crust.
He was trying to fuck, dog.
Yeah. Good point. Well made.
Young Franz Liszt was magnetic, as not only
Is
did
that
he...
young, like, with a U? Or...
Hey, Y-U-N-G.
Young
let's
Franz
go.
Liszt. The
Wonderful.
first mumble composer.
Oh my gosh, yes, dude. Franz Liszt was young and magnetic, as not only did he have colossal piano technique and extremely complex pieces of music his own that fed into the hype and opportunism that arises when young people do something as well as adults, but Liszt also had strikingly good looks. He was tall, thin, and at the time wore his hair long. I tried to find pictures because there's a lot of like the... newspaper drawings of his performances and him, but there's a couple like portraits of him. I made a note that said, "It looks like Adam Driver fucked Robert Pattinson or Nick Valenzi."
Hot.
So, there you go. He was a babe.
How old is he again?
By the time,
he looked like our Pats.
Well, shit. I mean, man, yeah. He's well, you'll see what happens to him kind of later on, but. He started getting funding at 11. I should have looked up like at what time he was actually writing all these pieces, but I mean, he was well known because he had Hungarians, he had Viennans, he had all these different people around Europe funding him. So it wasn't just coming from like the place where he was from. Liszt combined this physical attractiveness with a non-stop performance schedule that included highly innovative production elements for the time, like coining and calling his appearances recitals, being the first performer to regularly perform without a support act. Ballsy.
Yeah. An evening with.
Oh, yeah. And he would also play his full repertoire, all of his songs. And then the big thing that like he was noted for, which was like, was that he turned the piano sideways instead of with his back to the audience, so that the audience and Liszt could face one another.
Yo.
And that was thought of as like, There's a couple, again, those drawings I was talking about from the newspapers. I don't know if you guys have seen Under a Cherry Moon, the Prince movie that was like a total failure. That's in like black and white.
No.
It's not a good movie from front to end, but it's beautiful.
Movie about Prince, or Prince made the movie?
Prince made, so after Purple Rain, studios were like, dude,
you gotta keep going with this. Yeah.
What do you got?
That was pretty good.
And
we like that.
And he was basically like, I'm gonna do a like Prohibition era black and white film about two black club owner musicians. And I'm drawing a blank. What happens?
Oh, they just made that movie.
Yeah.
What's it called with the vampires?
Oh, Sinners.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Super good.
Interesting.
Well, I guess this is more like Gatsby.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like it's that era. But the beginning is Prince at a piano, and as the credits are rolling and there's like the intro music going, he's basically eyeing this woman from across, his little nightclub, and as he's playing the piano and doing little twiddlinks, metaphorically he's giving her an orgasm underneath the table from across the room. That's like the opening setup of the movie. So I had written
and directed by Prince.
Yeah, written and directed by Prince. Yeah, it's all like it's his whole thing. They gave him tons of money to just like do whatever he wanted. And so that's what I put in. Like, that's kind of basically how Liszt's performances was, and how people like thought of him and drew the pictures in the newspapers at the time and stuff.
Hell yeah.
He had a hectic schedule. He was touring consistently. And from this, Liszt becomes such a popular attraction in the parlors of well-to-do Europeans, and in particular with the female crowd, that a newspaper came up with the term Lisztomania to describe the phenomenon of women gasping, swooning, and fainting at his recitals.
Litsanity was right there.
Yeah, dude, they missed it, dude. They missed it. It's okay. We gave it to Jeremy. He's good. It's one of the earliest modern Western examples of like pathologizing the hysteria of women in relation to a musical act. And obviously the first reference everyone thinks about is like Beatlemania, that whole idea of
Elvis.
screaming, just like uncontrollable noise. And in the newspaper drawings, there's a lot of fainting, a lot of like handkerchiefs being tossed in the air, and like women falling over.
I'm sure dudes love that.
Oh yeah. There's no dudes
sure
in
the
those drawings
establishment
of the
and,
performances in the audience.
The religious moral core of Europe at the time had a real good time with everything that you just explained.
For sure. Liszt was also known to have big hands and long fingers, baby. So women would clamor for his gloves, and he'd do this thing where he'd walk up, and he'd sort of like, and this is also kind of in Cherry Moon, but he'd kind of like step up to the piano, and before he'd play, everybody's clapping as he's doing his walkout, he'd take them off like finger by finger, and then like throw them down on the ground, and people would, oh, they just like lose their shit for this stuff. And the women would clamor for Liszt's gloves after he'd thrown them to the stage floor before performing, while another story involves Liszt throwing away his finished cigar outside of a venue. A woman then picked it up and made a necklace.
I'm still thinking of him as like a 10-year-old, like a sexy 10-year-old throwing a cigar down.
I'm done. He's still a teenager. This is why this is just like so fucking crazy. So yeah, he's still in his teens. Like,
sorry, cigar necklace.
Yes, yeah. He's still a teenager smoking cigars. He's cool as shit, Thady.
Yeah.
So he threw away his finished cigar, and a woman picked it up and made a necklace with the cigar butt that she regularly wore, and was noted for emitting the most disgusting odor. One time I went to, in high school, see the Ruckus sound bombing tour, and Pharoah Monch performed, and I really liked Pharoah Monch at the time because he had that bam, 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 shut the fuck up, bam, 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 bam,
Oh, yeah.
get the fuck up.
Yeah.
So he was doing that song, and he threw his stage towel, and I was like, yes! And I reached up and I grabbed it. And shout out to one of my buddies in high school, Jaeger. I was like, dude! And I turned to him, and it was like dripping. And he was just like, fucking gross! And I was like, ah! It was just like all down my hands. So yeah, I know what's going on.
Sometimes you get excited about a towel without thinking.
Dude, 100%.
Well, that's another podcast.
Liszt also had a celebrity power couple relationship when he began courting Countess Marie Diagoul in 1834, and after marrying and having 3 kids together, they separated 10 years later in 1844. The relationship was unable to withstand the stress of Liszt's constant touring.
10 years and 3 kids, pretty good run.
Pretty good.
It's not bad.
Pretty good. Not bad.
It's a tough industry, You're gone out on the road in the bus all the time.
Dude,
there's
brutal.
no buses. What are you touring by? Like
Horse.
mule. Yeah.
Yeah. Composer Arnold Schoenberg said this of Franz Liszt. I think this is interesting. He could be kind and generous, yet could turn around and be arrogant and capricious. He was vain and needed constant adulation, yet he could be genuinely humble in the presence of other musical geniuses such as Wagner.
Wagner.
I was going to say.
Wagner.
Yikes. This is my first episode, and I'm going to get a bunch of emails from German people.
You're trying to be the voice of authority, man.
Fuck, dude. Oh, my bad. Wagner. To many, he was the Renaissance man of music. His admirers could see only his good points. To others, he was tinsel and claptrap, which just sounds like anybody's,
Bro sounds mercurial as hell, man.
Dude, yeah, it sounds like anybody describing a pop star. Liszt would give up touring in 1847 to focus solely on composing, much like another boy band in history we'll get to, the Beatles, who would stop touring after their Candlestick Park Stadium show in 1966. Finally, furthering Franz Liszt as the first example of Western obsession with the intersection of celebrity, the arts, and popular culture, Liszt would in his later years give his life to God and the Catholic priesthood to begin writing spiritual music, while still creating sensation amongst the hearsay of the day by having affairs with multiple lovers, including a woman named Olga Janina. I'm sure I'm saying Janina wrong. Holy smokes, who tried to shoot Liszt and before failing, took her own life.
Damn.
I know, brutal. To me, it sounded a lot like Justin Bieber, who recently found religion and has been on the full Jesus, Amy Grant thing. So yeah. He's there,
it hits the best of them. Fat Elvis's gospel era, man.
Yeah. They all do it.
He went hard as hell on that, though. Honestly, Fat Elvis rips.
I would. I kind of like dying on the toilet. Elvis.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, next guy we're going to get to, Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan was an actor, but I threw him in here because I think it's important in context for what happened to him. But Jackie Coogan, born to a vaudevillian father and actress mother, was a famous child actor whose first major role was as the sad-eyed orphan in Charlie Chaplin's The Kid. Coogan would also go on to play Uncle Fester in the Addams Family television series.
That's a hell of a turn.
Yeah, which is awesome. Rachel and I have been watching a bunch of episodes of it, and it's so fucking good. It's awesome. And Jackie Coogan is so dumb in it, and it's just, it's amazing. When he does that
Of O.G. Adams?
Yeah.
Dude,
when he does the stupid light bulb thing, it's
oh my
so
God.
stupid.
It's amazing. Have you ever seen colorized shots of the set?
Rachel showed me after
Insane.
we got into it.
Yeah, it looks like the
amazing.
70s.
So cool.
Like,
hyper psychedelic.
Yeah.
Well, by the time Jackie Coogan was 9 years old, he was not only making 60% of the profits on his films, which is bonkers, but an additional $22,000 a week, the equivalent to $3.5 million in today's currency. By the time he was 9, that's fucking mental.
Hell yeah.
In 1938, at the age of 24, though, he sued his mother and stepfather, who had, acting as Jackie's manager, had spent nearly all of Coogan's multi-million-dollar fortune. When Jackie found out, even after winning in court, he only received $126,000 of his life's earnings after paying his legal fees. So he was going from making $3.5 million like a week in today's currency to only receiving $126,000, whatever that is in today's currency.
Yeah, but he's making $22,000 a week. You're calling that $3.5 million. $100-something
so
thousand is
man.
a fucking bajillion dollars.
It's still a lot of money, but I just thought like.
And was $22,000 a week $3.5 million
All right,
a week?
we're
Was
doing
that
rough math. Call that $10 million
Yeah.
bucks. 60% of his film's earnings. Like you look at an Avengers movie making $1 billion bucks. That's like $600 million a film for name.
Sounds like Jackie Coogan's doing fine.
It was fun.
Well, he's dead now, so
Yeah, you knucklehead. Come on.
show some respect to Uncle Fest.
However, Jackie's lawsuit led to the California legislature to enact the Child Actors Bill, or the Coogan Law, which protects child actors by ensuring their contracts are looked over by a judge, as well as placing portions of their income in FDIC-insured trust funds. And this is just interesting because, as you'll see, Lou Pearlman stole a shit ton of money from all the bands that he worked with. And then recently, just to note, the Coogan Law got updated with a bunch of terms related to YouTube because of the Ruby Frank child abuse thing.
Right.
And the whole wave of families making themselves into YouTube channels and making the kids be part of the channel and documenting like their entire lives.
Is that the people that were driving around with the like the beads in the back of the truck thing?
I don't know. I just started. Rachel's really up on the Ruby Frankie stuff, and I just started watching one of the documentaries. But basically, yeah, Mormon mother, fully documenting. And then basically has been locking her kids away. Taking away
gotcha.
their beds for long extended periods of time.
Yeah. I heard of that. The thing I talked about was just like a family driving around with a bunch of water in the back of the truck. And like,
did they film it?
Yeah, they did. And like the kids were back there, and they took some hard rights, and the water moves a lot with the kids in it.
Hell yeah.
No child abuse involved, folks. Hey.
I hope to have a little Rizzler of my own someday. You know? Just let it eat whatever it wants.
Oh my gosh.
Film it constantly.
Well, the next group here is Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers are one of the first instances of ushering in the emergence of earnest post-war commercial music marketing to the teenage market. A prepubescent Frankie Lyman wrote sexy songs himself at the age of 13 and represented an early instance of innocent, non-binary soprano vocal styles that many vocal groups that also featured preteen male lead vocalists would mirror for decades. Why Do Fools Fall in Love is an early standard of lyrics masquerading raging teenage hormones and horniness specifically, which becomes thematic of boy band subject matter and modern pop as we know it. Lyman sadly would succumb to drug addiction in 1968, foreshadowing a long list of young performers whose experiences in the entertainment industry would also mirror the same result. The Beatles are the next group we're going to get to, which is a lot of fun. The penultimate boy band.
Never heard of them.
Yeah. Oh, so Liverpool-based.
Okay.
But they're the penultimate boy band. Again, the framework for having distinct personalities among a group's members, that individuals would decide which members of the group they favor, as well as being the first band whose fans get a coined term to describe them. Predating Swifties, predating the Bayhive, you've got like Beatlemania.
I'm always bringing stuff up about the Beatles. If they were just a touring interview squad, they'd still be legends. They'd still be like the fucking Marx Brothers. They were so good with the press.
That's what it was. You were talking in the group chat that you would be the bad boy.
If it's available. Is this still available?
Yes.
That's not a bad boy thing to say.
No, you're the
like, please, could I possibly...
Yes, you're the podcast bad boy, Eric.
Yeah, bad boy.
So when we talk about the distinct personalities, that's what we were talking about. Like Ringo's obviously the goofy one. Who was the sexy one at first?
I mean, I think Ringo was the sexy one. I think you got George is brooding and quiet, which kind of gives him some mystique.
He's the dark mystique.
Paul is affable and adorable,
There you go.
basic Beckies are just all up
The
on him.
lead guy.
Yeah. John Lennon? Or were you asking or just saying?
No, I think Paul Paul is Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah.
And John Lennon
is also
not
Justin
anybody out there?
Timberlake.
Yeah. There's no direct. This is
Yeah.
tough. This is tough.
It's very tough. But no, they were 1A, 1B. John was sarcastic, sardonic, things that put off some people and absolutely drive other people
There
crazy.
you go.
He was very polarizing.
Yes,
Paul was very broadly liked and kind of milquetoast. And and Ringo is everything.
Yeah, I know you guys are here for a reason.
I don't know, man.
Well, they were also the first group whose management saw the potential in merchandising.
Yeah, the other Epstein.
Yeah. And the power and the duality of merch as worn or accessorized piece of promotion. It was also, like, metaphorically a way for a teenage consumer to signify how they identified with their purchasing power by buying a Beatles lunchbox. And,
I could do a 4-part podcast about the creation of the Beatles as a product.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's insane.
And so much of it was Brian Epstein, like getting them out of the Hamburg and the Cavern Club scene and putting them in suits, cleaning them up, but not reining them in at all in terms of personality, in terms of chops.
There's it's hard not to go off on tangents, but like we're saying, it's the start of everything we know is like fabricated, which is interesting because, again, they go on to make such important music later on. But again, they were a totally fabricated, put together band. In fact, that's why we're right here. Excuse me. The Beatles were also unintentionally a fabricated copycat group, constructed to create the kind of competition that becomes common for not only boy bands, but for the music industry as a whole. And we'll get into this later, but Lou Pearlman has this famous philosophy that he always would talk about is like, well, if you were making soda, like, wouldn't you want to own both Coke and Pepsi? So it's like...
It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's what he sounds like?
He's like this... I texted Eric, I was like, he's like this, like, wheezy Dom DeLuise, like, personality-wise, like, boom, 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 like a little tuba, like, but he's from Queens, so he's like, I'll stick you. So... so we'll see that, this
Dom DeLuise-esque. Hell yeah.
And then Motown. Let's get into it. From Berry Gordy's Motor City assembly line, Motown establishes the music writing factory system template that was co-opted by Stax and the Hit Factory, etc., etc., etc. Now, even though Motown sort of set themselves apart from the popularized idea of boy bands because the music is so fucking
so good. The players are perfect.
Oh my God. Motown could genuinely say that their acts weren't boy bands, and they actually held on to that for a really, really long time. However, the coordinated dance moves, matching outfits like we just talked about, of the groups that Motown had signed, like the Four Tops, the Temptations, etc., were models that every boy band would emulate. Berry Gordy was initially weary of kids groups before he signed Gary Indiana's The Jackson 5. They wore loud matching fashions, sported large afro haircuts, and along with their snappy choreography, had an ability to actually play their own instruments as well.
Although, usually what you hear on record ain't Tito and ain't Jermaine.
For sure.
James Jameson's like, let me see that thing.
There are some, I did. I looked up that too,
but you're
when
right.
they went out live, it's like
No,
they're actually handling it.
There's like the early clip where they're in black and white, I think in Gary poolside in a cigarette smoked room.
Yeah.
And Michael's not on a mic. He's just singing into the room and peeling the paint off the walls.
It's so cool.
Killer.
And again, like, I didn't realize this because until I was researching a lot of this stuff, like everybody's in suits, right? But then it's like, they really were like, hey, we're bringing in these guys because like they got afros and bell bottoms and like are moving away from what we've been doing with the suits and the casual like romantic music.
It's the perfect example of when Frank Zappa does his imitation of an A&R man in the day.
Yes.
Where he's like, well, I don't know, get a hippie in here.
Yeah.
Like, ask them.
And that's exactly what they did. And they scored 4 straight #1 singles and had their own form of Beatlemania for Black American youth culture in the late 60s.
Had a cartoon.
Yeah. They were massive. Totally. Yeah. They had the cartoon. Did they have their own variety show?
They had a variety show.
That's what it was. Yeah. They were huge. And I talked about how, like, for a really long time, Motown tried to always separate themselves from boy bands, but I had to note in here that they did sign 98 Degrees and release their first 2 albums.
That was a Motown release?
Those are Motown releases, folks.
Are you kidding me?
So they,
Let me see that.
The 90s were tough. Yeah, it's like everybody was getting in on the game.
Wow.
But Motown, I noted in here, it really is like Pearlman's playbook, and he'll mention it a lot. And then I also noted that Berry Gordy's son and grandson are LMFAO.
Yeah.
So the boy band thing continues, dude. It just keeps going. And next we got the Monkees. Love the Monkees so much. Inspired by A Hard Day's Night, the made-for-television Prefab 4 is built as the American answer to the Beatles and had anonymous studio musicians, just like Eric was talking about, record their records until 1967, when the Monkees got more autonomy and members like Mike Nesmith and Peter Tork, who were quite talented songwriters, got the opportunity to record their own instrumentation and their own songs on their album Headquarters. Dude,
Headquarters
rips. I wrote in here that it rivals the Beatles' best work, and then I was like, man, should I say that? And I was like, yeah, actually I can. I have Can You Dig It up there with like
Come Together or something.
Or oh my god, it's my favorite Beatles song.
Is that Toxic?
It's Toxic by Britney Spears.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
No, the end
Oh,
Revolver.
you're talking about No One Knows. Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Knows.
Tomorrow Never Knows.
There we go. Yeah. I honestly think Can You Dig It and rivals like that song. Yeah.
It's the last track on Revolver with all the backwards guitars.
I can honestly say I've never listened to a Beatles record all the way through.
Oh, check it out. You're going to love them.
Dude, you dig this, brother.
Yeah. Revolver is a good time. Tomorrow Never Knows. Tomorrow Never. Well, we could do a whole thing about that because that invented like trip hop and house music, like
we'll
proper
get into it at some point,
blown out loop.
But I have a much more exciting topic, you guys. Lou Pearlman, you guys heard of this guy?
I am here because I heard that my friend Kirk knows a lot about Lou Pearlman, and I came to listen to you talk.
Yeah, Eric drove fucking 3 hours through traffic this morning.
Damn right, man.
Jabber.
I waited 15 minutes for my tab at a bar.
There you go. Yeah, you had to wait for the guy to make 15 Bloody Marys. So I appreciate your sacrifice too, Fanny.
Thank you.
Next
Can't get blood from a turnip.
My favorite, having grown up in the LDS church, the Osmonds, everybody.
Hey.
Yay!
I keep trying to think if I can guess where it's going to go. I can't,
you're just whiffing.
Good.
Kirk's just over here tossing knuckleballs over the plate.
Yeah, keeping you guys on edge. The Osmonds, the Mormon Stage Brothers, scored a #1 single with the pseudo-sexy song One Bad Apple, which actually was a rejected Jackson 5 song, written by Muscle Shoals staple songwriter George Henry Jackson. Not related to anybody in the Jackson 5. The chorus of which was sung by the front member Donnie at the age of 13. There's this really, really funny clip of Donnie Osmond talking about when that song blows up and they do one of their first concerts and they're just like not aware of anything that has to do with like the hysteria of crowds and stuff. and everybody starts screaming when they play that song, and he stops the band because he genuinely thinks
there was
someone
a fire.
is dying,
Yeah.
which is cute because he doesn't swear the whole entire time he tells that story. The Osmonds were a multifaceted instance of hyper-competitive capitalism, masked evangelicalism,
Thinly masked.
Yes, and cultural appropriation. They hit all three, baby! As the group was marketed as a Jackson 5 alternative for post-hippie era white Christian teens who feared the trajectory of black radicalism that would become synonymous with black music as it entered the 70s.
Cool.
Yeah.
I only knew about Donnie and Marie, and I'm sitting here wondering if Donnie and Marie were partners or brother-sister. I don't even know.
So I think I have it noted coming up, but man, One Bad Apple is a ripper song. In fact, there's also another funny part of Larger Than Life, Reign of the Boy Bands documentary where the Motown production president, Suzanne DePassy, tells a story about being in a car with other Motown execs, and One Bad Apple comes on the radio, and they they literally stop the car and pull over because they assumed it was a Jackson 5 song based on the fact that like Donnie sounds so much like Michael, and like they were first losing their shit, like who released some song that we don't know about, who got involved, and then when they were like, and that was the Osmonds, DePass said, quote, "A hush fell over Jerusalem."
Good Lord.
Which
we don't have time to unpack that whole thing. Yeah,
ice cold, baby. But as you'll see, I think the Osmonds are a good representation of later what happens with like New Kids on the Block and New Edition. Next I threw in here just real quick the Bay City Rollers. I honestly think we could do a whole thing about the Bay City Rollers, but
Ken wasn't gonna call that,
dude. It's so dark.
See?
You start the Wikipedia,
it takes you places.
You start the thing about Bay City Rollers and you just fucking, it's so bad, it's so dark. But they were at one point heralded as the biggest band since the Beatles. They were a Scottish pop rock act.
They were like the Franz Ferdinand to the Strokes of the Beatles, sort of.
And they achieved.
I'm sticking to it.
It's an intriguing way to put it.
I can only think of the Bay City Rollers in terms of Mike Myers' father, also played by Mike Myers, and So I Married an Axe Murderer, going S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y, night.
Yes, that's it. That's fucking, oh my god.
Turn up the Bay City Rollers.
Yes, I hadn't fucking.
That's literally the only reason I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's right before he yells at the kid about having a big head. It's a very memorable scene.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that. Oh my god. Yes,
it's like Sputnik, spherical but quite pointy at parts.
Yes. Dude,
Headpants now.
So yes, again, like Eric just mentioned, they were Scottish.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. This is great. So they were a Scottish pop rock act. They achieved massive international success for their time. They sold 5 million records.
Bro was hunky.
Yep, they were babes for little boys. Thanks, Eric. God, you're gonna get us in so much trouble.
He's a bit of a Baldwin.
Boys. All right.
I don't
know. The band, however, never transitioned that set. Oh, see where my mind is going, Eric? But the band never transitioned that success after aging, and their careers were marked by financial difficulties and accusations that manager Tom Patton had sexually assaulted members of the group. Again, like I mentioned, it's probably one of the darkest of the boy band stories.
That's terrible.
A lot to unpack in the story. Again, I barely dove in, and I was like, what? But yeah, not a lot of good comes to the group. It's super fucking sad. As we'll see, there's a lot of accusations launched at Pearlman that parallel here.
Banger song, though.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Like, yeah, really great song. And then we get to a little spiciness, a little sauciness, boys. We got the boys of Menudo.
Yeah.
Young
Ricky.
Yeah. In Puerto Rico, musician and producer Edargo Diaz prefabricated Menudo, one of Latin music's biggest groups of all time, diversifying boy bands further by giving Latin America a group to get behind. Diaz enacted an extreme model of Berry Gordy's Motown factory system, whose main purpose was strictly to sell product. Menudo lip-synced. They released Spanish-speaking movies, very much like Spanish-speaking versions of Hard Day's Night. Menudo, interestingly enough, this is kind of a neat fact, has featured 39 members over 3 decades due to Edargo Diaz's insistence that group members of Menudo have to leave the band once they hit puberty. He doesn't want what comes. Yeah. You're out because he doesn't want what comes with the Bay City Rollers. You guys don't get cute no more.
Oh my
You're
God.
out of here. You get problems.
39.
Yeah.
Gross.
And Menudo has spanned 3 decades. Despite allegations of sexual abuse by him, Menudo announced new members whose ages range from 10 to 15 years old as recently as 2023. He relaunched the band recently. And he still has all these accusations. And all
the 15-year-old, is that what you're calling gross? Because it's a little old.
Disgusting. Is this whole podcast going to be kind of gross and wrong? Is this
like I mentioned at the beginning, it's like I don't know how you escape it with this idea of like you get these guys who are just super jazzed to dump millions of dollars.
That's a bingo.
Yeah. No. So yeah.
Like that hot little cigar smoking tramp.
Oh, Franz? Oh, you mean Franz?
Lit sanity.
Yeah.
It's a mania.
I don't care.
We'll get to this dude later, but
Let's be accurate.
Yeah.
It's fair.
We'll get to producer Maurice Starr, who's wild man. But producer Maurice Starr was once recruited to actually help Menudo write English language songs, until Edargo Diaz, this weirdo, rejected the idea by saying Puerto Ricans can't feel it the same way that other people, especially black singers, can. So there you go. He just started Menudo again. Again, totally like parallels are going to happen with Pearlman. So, heads up warning from Eric Hawk about where this is going.
Look, man, I just work here.
And then one last little fun fact about Menudo. Member Howie Duro auditioned for Menudo, the Backstreet Boy, under the stage name Tony Dinetti.
Tony Dinetti.
Yeah, and has said that if he had made the cut for Menudo, he probably wouldn't have ever been in the Backstreet Boys.
Damn.
So,
perish the thought.
Yeah, serendipity, dude.
Howie was a ripper.
Can you picture Howie?
Yeah.
Do you know which one Howie is?
No. I know Lance Bass because...
Well, can you imagine that out of all the boy bands, he's like, Menudo excluded, he's like the only Hispanic one?
Oh, the little guy with the...
Holy
and
shit!
the spikes?
No. No.
AJ? No, that was
the little chin beard and the spikes.
Dude, everybody had a chin beard in the 90s, man.
Yeah, but... This guy, though.
Yeah, I think you're honing in on which member
AJ.
it is.
He's like short.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And bad.
Well, one of my favorite boy bands from growing up is what we're going to get to next, New Edition.
New Edition.
Yeah, they were the stage setters of what us millennials, woo, yay, our generation, kind of come to know as like the first contemporary boy band. They're from Boston, Massachusetts. Michael Bivins, Bobby Brown, Ricky Bell, Raf Riz Tresvant, and Ronnie DeVoe made up the group.
You might recognize some of those surnames from another band that they had.
Oh, yeah, totally. I had Q Candy Girl, but we don't have any money. And so we can't get any rights to copyrighted music. So we just have to do like Candy Girl. But in 1978, after meeting Maurice Starr at a local talent show, in which the group came in second out of 82 different neighborhood performers, Maurice Starr signed the group to his label, Streetwise Records, and had the group record a song he wrote called Candy Girl, which encapsulated all the familiar elements we've been talking about of a prepubescent soprano lead vocalist boy band sound. But Maurice Starr was blending it with a new emerging genre, rap and hip-hop. Mm-hmm. Starr titled their debut LP with the same name, and the record debuted in March of 1983 and distinctly targeted an audience of teen and tween girls, cementing the cause and effect nature of the boy band existence and its dependence on the desires of teenage girls. By April of the same year, the record is number 17 on the Billboard charts and number 1 on the Hot Black Singles chart, which if you're like, whoa, Hot Black Singles chart, yeah, that's how the fucking charts were described in the 80s. They had urban, they had all these separate categories for black music. If you're like, wow, we've come so far.
They're still there.
They're still kind of there.
Yeah.
And they've been renamed, but yeah, totally insane.
They call them the rhythm charts now, I believe. Yeah. It's
it's very coded. But after months of touring and, having this huge record and number 1 single, the band members each received recoupment checks totaling a dismal $1.87 each.
Hell yeah. 187 skills.
The group settled out of court, and they severed ties with Maurice Starr. These little royalty checks, as we'll get into, they'll rival what happens with Pearlman and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. But New Edition's next record was certified double platinum after leaving Star, and by 1985 they were bona fide stars. But at the same time, the members were growing up and wanted both their sound and image to be more rebellious in order to stray away from their straight-up teenage pop image. That and constant changes in who was singing lead vocals was creating tension amongst the group's power dynamic. And to compound things further, later in that same year, the group learned their record deal with MCA was in fact a production deal with a middleman who controlled the group's profit and how much it paid each individual member for their time, labor, and royalties. Of New Edition's bad contracts, Johnny Wright, a radio DJ who knew Maurice Starr and for a time, we'll talk about him later, would go on to manage both NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, said, "Your first contract, technically, yes, is never going to be in your favor." Okay, dude.
Sure.
Be true. Sure. But New Edition tour manager Jeff Dyson said the deal was akin to modern slavery, and to get out of the contract, New Edition had to take on untenable amounts of debt from MCA. We could get into this whole thing for a while, but I'll quickly describe it here because it gets kind of boring at some point. But major labels operate, even today, to understand all this stuff in context, they're inherently loans. Like the major label has taken out a loan from a giant bank, and then they offer bands, bad API percentage loans offered as recoupment deals. So the band is required to repay multiple times the amount of money that the label initially fronts them in interest on their original deal. And again, like,
I want to throw out one other. I got some opinions on this.
We can get to Eric's onions. So.
I think still to this day, I don't know. This held true at one point. It's probably still really close to this ratio. 1 in 20 albums on a major label recoups. They have a 5% success of recoupment, but that 5% kills, because that
100%.
That includes everything. And, but they're still taking flyers out and putting people out on the road because who knows?
Totally, 100%. And there's We'll get into that a lot throughout this podcast, but there's this inherent idea, which, again, just like Eric said, is pretty standard across the board, where a label does hope that one act will basically pay for the rest of what it's got going on.
Yeah. Not everybody gets the poster of their face on the wall in the major label.
100%. Yeah. 100%. And then I think the other interesting thing about that whole thing is when you talk to a lot of these business people who are the financiers, the actual bank people, when you come to them sort of that's your business proposal, which I'm sure the labels don't do, it's inherently a bad business decision.
Yeah.
To hope one thing covers the cost of every part of your other business. So if you're like, wait a minute, this sounds like crazy, it's like, yes, it's almost a legalized, like the way Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes happen, there's just slight variations in the verbiage with how sort of labels operate like this, where you're using recoupments to pay off other parts of loans that you've taken out.
There's overhead that keeps artists in work cycles forever, and it's 100%.
It's gonna get nuts in that regard, and we'll get into it. But as a result of the mounting stress of multiple bad contracts and New Edition's accelerated schedule, tensions erupt, and Bobby Brown leaves the band, or gets kicked out, depending on who you talk to. But it would kind of foreshadow the boy band trend of fracturing into solo careers. And while New Edition would continue on and invite Johnny Gill to join the group, there's actually a really good song or two on the Johnny Gill New Edition record.
Word.
Like the opening track's pretty fucking cool. And that's their album Heartbreak. And they got to do that with legendary production duo, man, just the greatest, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Jimmy Jam and Terry,
Super cool.
Yeah.
The album went platinum, and a few months after its release, it enabled New Edition to pay off their debt before disbanding, with Gill, eventually having a nice solo career as well. And the rest of the members of New Edition going on to create, Eric?
ABC, BBD, Another Bad Creation, Belle Biv DeVoe, like all of it. Basically an entire genre came out of the split of that group. Like New Jack Swing was created overnight.
And meanwhile, their old mentor and producer, Maurice Starr, in response to the New Edition fallout, said, "It was very hurtful. I quit the business for..." So we're talking about children. It was very hurtful. I quit the business for about 2 weeks, and I said to myself after 2 weeks, I'm not a quitter, so let's get up and get this thing going. Now I'm going to put 5 of them white kids together, which is awesome. He just was like, fuck this. I'm going to go take white people's money.
Damn.
And soon, Maurice Starr found a new group of white teenage Bostonians to attempt to reach an audience beyond the urban market that New Edition had been pigeonholed to in a racially charged U.S. music industry. And yeah, I had to note one of my other favorite groups, like Eric mentioned, Another Bad Creation, which, holy, they were like the youngest. There's like a fucking 6-year-old or something in that group. But their record is amazing. But here comes New Kids on the Block. Rick James's manager, Mary Alford, assisted Maurice Starr in finding then 14-year-old Donnie Wahlberg, Danny Wood, the Knight brothers, Jonathan and Jordan, and the youngest member, 12-year-old Joey McIntyre.
He was 12?
He was 12 when they started the group. And then there's a fun fact in one of the books. They talk about how when Joey joined the band because he was the youngest, his nickname was Wedgie because he got all the hazes. And then my buddy, comedian Adam Ray, is buddies with Joey McIntyre because they were in that movie The Heat together.
Yeah.
But I texted him to try to get any confirmation if Joey's nickname was Wedgie, and his response was, ha ha ha. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Yeah, that seems
confirmed,
likely.
Confirmed from comedian and actor Adam Ray that Joey's nickname was Wedgie.
The Wedge.
New Kids on the Block, all these guys, having attended the same desegregated but primarily black public schools in the same neighborhoods that New Edition were from, the members of NKOTB were obviously up on things. They were obsessed with black music and the pop culture of the time. They loved rap. They loved hip-hop. There's a note from one of the books, or multiple books talked about this, but yeah, this is just teenage pop cultural appropriation, just defining the trends of America. And these quote-unquote crazy white boys, as a lot of them are called, began performing. It's the worst band name I've ever heard. Nyuk! Like, nyuk, nyuk. N-Y-U-N-K, the fucking, the Three Stooges thing? That was the name. Nyuk! Which, okay.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah, can you make that sound one more time? Yeah, it's good.
They rehearsed incessantly, and they took on stints in retirement homes, community centers, schools, roller rinks, and even at Rikers Island, where the group apparently won inmates over by tossing out packs of cigarettes.
That'll do it.
Which I thought the same thing. Eric, do you remember when we used to play those shows that were like Camel sponsored?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And they would just give cigarettes out.
I would follow the camel car to where we would like there they go.
Insanity. That was like the tail. That was basically when they were like, oh, we hear that they're probably gonna like put a kibosh on smoking indoors. So Camel and Lucky Strike.
Yeah, but then you'd
give everybody cigarettes for free.
You'd be at South by, see a girl wearing red shorts, like, you know anything about Lucky Strike?
Yes, yeah. They put your little MySpace account on their thing, and yeah.
Where's the heaters?
Yep. But to New Kids on the Block's credit, they actually did spend a few years operating with an extremely low-budget DIY ethos. And even though no capital was coming into the group, they were managing to shock and excite a few crowds, which helped endear the music industry to the idea of the band and what was going on with Maurice Starr. Appropriation acknowledged. This is still pre-Vanilla Ice. There's no white kids breakdancing, rapping, singing. No white kids are doing any urban R&B in 1986, with the exception, it must be noted, of 3 Jewish kids from New York City
Beastie
by the name of the Beastie
Boys.
Boys. So New Kids on the Block were technically the Eminem before Eminem.
They're the best of the next best thing to the best.
How about that? We're just going to make all these analogies and get crushed later.
Hell yeah.
The band signed to the black division of what is now Columbia Records. If you're like, my God, they had a black division? It's like, yeah, they
sure did.
Despite the fact that nobody in the group was black themselves. The label actually suggested the group change their name to New Kids on the Block, taken from one of their original songs written by Maurice Starr. The debut album was technically a flop upon its release in 1988, but the group decided to get more involved in their own production and workshopping, meaning edgier choreography, edgier looks. They started wearing backwards hats and getting like the shaved stuff in the sides of their head, and
they sure did.
They had the braided rat tails. I always wanted one. My parents wouldn't let me have it. Thanks, Mom and Dad. You wouldn't let me have a braided rat tail when I was a kid. Actually, my first concert
had a braided rat
is
tail.
Shout out Mom. My first concert, 8 years old. Mom took me to New Kids on the Block.
Hell yeah, dude, big.
It was the first time I got tinnitus. I was like, Mom, why are my ears going? Like, oh, you have so much to learn.
Because front of house is gassing the right stuff.
And it was also more that just like we were talking about, the screaming.
Yeah.
The sheer screaming was like unreal. Even my mom was like,
Not to mention the gentle acoustic atmosphere of the Tacoma Dome. Yeah, just the sound of poured concrete.
Yeah. Oh my God. The debut album is a total flop. But again, they start getting like we need to be harder. We need to be more black. So their second album, Hangin' Tough, comes out.
One of them wore a Bauhaus shirt. That didn't really help them with that.
That's
Recently?
true. No,
in the Right Stuff video.
No way.
One of them's
he's
got a
wearing
Bauhaus shirt on.
It's true.
It's very confusing.
There's a whole section in Maria Sherman's book, and she talks about like the fashion of that video, and it was like very cutting edge. Like when that video came out, like it immediately made mall trends shift like real quick.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
a song designed to be edited for a video. Just the
Yeah.
Just everything's a hard cut.
The first single was actually "Please Don't Go Girl," the ballad, and it again flopped. So things just like weren't looking good. But a radio DJ in Tampa, Florida, accidentally played "Hangin' Tough" on their modern pop program, which wasn't the market that New Kids on the Block's black record label had been targeting. And the label, realizing their mistake, quickly began airing NKOTB videos on the other networks besides BET, and additionally booked the group to support 80s teen icon Tiffany on tour, as their next two singles, You Got It, The Right Stuff, and I'll Be Loving You Forever, went straight to top 40 radio rotation at the same time. By December of that year, the album was 7 times platinum, and unlike their black counterparts from the same Boston neighborhood, New Edition, that we were just talking about, NKOTB's contracts, surprise, were solid as a rock.
Oh.
By December of 1988, Joey McIntyre, who was 16 years old, Wedgie, and his band members were rich. NKOTB's legacy is intertwined with their merchandising. It set an industry standard going forward. And again, like Eric can probably attest to this, merch is still like the place bands make the majority of their money.
Yeah, but dude, it wasn't just at shows. Like I was in Wasilla, Alaska with a pack of New Kids on the Block trading cards.
Yes.
I don't know where I got them. Probably the local grocery store.
And they had the cartoon. They had it all.
But just the amount of throw to get a pack of trading cards at the cash wrap at the Cars Quality Center in Wasilla, Alaska, on the opposite side of the continent, like that speaks to something.
Yeah. By 1990, they had posters, dolls, bedspreads. They even had their own JCPenney clothing line.
I had a pretty sick tank top.
Yeah.
New Kids?
Yeah.
I feel like I had shorts, but I'm either thinking they were either Michael Jordan shorts or New Kids on the Block shorts. But
Why not both?
Why not both? Yeah.
Crossover event of the century, man.
At this time, the band dropped their fourth album, Step by Step. It spent 3 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 200 chart, and despite Step by Step being recorded haphazardly while on the road, the group became the highest paid entertainers in the entire country.
Bit of an indie lo-fi bedroom pop record.
Well, you'll see.
I'm trying to think of Step by Step in my mind's eye. I think I know the title track.
Yeah, and that's basically really what it is. I think Hangin' Tough was really the record that like encapsulated like getting the best songwriting and production elements from black music into the New Kids on the Block catalog.
Totally.
Step by Step, as you'll see, like because it was it was recorded on the road because of what we're going to get into.
As like a positive thing to say about Hangin' Tough, which includes the song Hangin' Tough,
Yeah.
you're saying that takes the best from black society?
No.
That song sucks. Like real bad.
That song rips.
Yeah, because again, you have Joey McIntyre going hanging tough.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing going on, but that was the whole point. Is like if they'd sent out black teenagers going hanging tough, all of white America is gonna go hell fucking no. At
the time.
So what I was trying to say is like it's taking the best, most cutting edge musical producers of the time and the best songwriters of the time who primarily work strictly in black music because they're not really allowed to work outside of that, or no one's thought of that yet.
Gonna need you to suspend your objectification.
Gotcha.
It's not objectively the best. It is the best at appropriating.
Okay, understood. I like that I can be here to interrupt about just the bitchiest, pissiest things.
Here for it.
It's good.
Wearing a honey bucket hat, just talking shit.
Much like New Edition, the band at this point, when they're recording this Step by Step, they're growing tired of their polished image. The label was reluctant to lose the group's predominantly safe white audience, and they're moving into their late teens and 20s, so they want relevance. That amongst the many members' feelings that come with growing up, the members began to resent one another and began choosing to travel in separate tour buses while on tour. So that's how the record is made haphazardly, because they have this mobile studio. Each of them has their own tour bus. Then there's all the crew tour buses. So getting 5 of them to it's the Island of Dr. Moreau thing.
Yeah.
When Val Kilmer's like, I'm not coming out of my trailer till Brando comes out of his trailer. And Brando's like, I'm not coming out of my trailer. Don't. Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
He keeps taking my looks.
Yeah, dude. In an environment where there's already a lack of privacy due to the group's fame, there also came an increasingly boy band hating press that ridiculed the group at the turn of the 90s, when American culture had begun to move on from the boy band sound. A punk band called Nirvana
I
change
knew where that one was going.
They would change the goddamn world a year after the release of Step by Step.
Scrawny kid from Aberdeen just torpedoes all that out of the water in one go.
And in addition, their producer and mentor, Maurice Starr, began acting both more eccentric and delusional. He began wearing reconstituted military outfits in an attempt to reestablish authority with New Kids on the Block. And in 1992, NKOTB and Starr parted ways. There's actually some amazing interview footage where he's wearing these military outfits, and they're fucking dope. He looks like M. Bison in a recording studio.
That's exactly what I pictured.
It's so good. He literally looks like, M. Bison's like, all right, let's do that take again, this time with a little more sauce on the falsetto. It's so good.
That's such an ace reference.
Yeah. The final underwhelming album was released in 1994, and which is crazy that they went through 94 because things are with what's going on. That same year, member Jonathan Knight was dealing with anxiety from both the band's schedule and simultaneously navigating his homosexuality. He quit, and soon after, the rest of the group followed suit. Interesting as you start to
they all dealt with their homosexualities.
No. Just that, hey, boy band pop has an inherent attractiveness to just queer youth. Lance Bass, there's a lot of gay young people just involved in this whole sphere. But in 1999, Jordan Knight had a top 10 single with his song "Give It to You," which is so good. I think Timbaland.
Was it 99?
Yeah.
Damn.
And that song was big. I remember because Timbaland was having this whole thing. But it was rough for the other members of New Kids on the Block until a little over 10 years ago when the group reunited and started an annual performance cruise while also touring with Backstreet Boys and making an estimated $40 million in 2014.
Right back to the Tacoma Dome, baby.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though. I thought that boy bands had a way bigger break than that. So much.
There's another wave coming.
No. But I'm just saying, 94, and then that
right.
Jordan.
It is highly compacted. What?
The "Give It to You" song that was 99. That was that's a 5-year break of to me when that song came out. I was like, oh, that really old guy from way back when is talking about giving it to people, or I guess one person.
Yes.
But that's just not all that much time.
When does Marky come up? When's the Funky Bunch
it's
happening?
Around the same
it's
time
around
because Donnie's.
But it's towards the end of it, isn't it?
Probably, but it's still.
I think of Good Vibrations, 92,
still,
93, 94.
Yeah.
I picture Bill Clinton playing sax to it or something. It's very.
It might even be earlier than that because that whole just house hop.
Yeah.
Big back then. But yeah, no. To your point though, too, you kind of forget the lifespan of bands. So many of my projects I've joked about inherently for whatever reason just had a 5-year lifespan. They just did.
Yeah.
How many records did the Beatles make? And they
from 60 to 70 or 62 to 70. I think there's
they do 7 and 8 years. It's kind of
8. I think.
Yeah. It's wild. Just because you assume same thing. You're assuming that's 2 decades.
Right.
The next group we're going to get into.
Also, I'm a little surprised when I was guessing things in my head. I thought you were going to do a little New York Dolls Sex Pistols thing just for like flavor.
As far as the Malcolm McLaren connection. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we'll kind of get a little into that.
With the airships?
In regards to the blimps, dude.
The personality crisis dirigible flying over New York City in 74.
Yes.
In regards to the blimps?
Yeah.
As it pertains to blimps?
I think this is like so good to like start with because it really does. I know it's like there's a lot of information out there about Lou Pearlman and stuff, but it's nice to just, I think this, everything you come across is like, oh God, he's following some sort of pattern of.
I trust the process, dude. I fully trust the process. Yeah. Keep building the box.
You got it, my man. Yeah, I mean he's building. There's a pattern of this type of exploitation.
Been watching a lot of SVU. Yeah. So there's a pattern to this kind of exploitation.
Boyz II Men. Let's get into it.
Hell yeah.
Much like their label Motown, Boyz II Men had such a high level of collective talent. Dude, they just did the opening game of the NFL season.
In perfect harmony. Yeah.
I was hoping you saw it.
Yes, it's amazing.
I sat there, I was like, Rachel! Get in here! Because first of all, they did the national anthem, but then they did the most beautiful but complex 3-part harmonized version where one of the dudes broke into the bass vocalist who's passed away. He broke into his section for one. It was nuts. So again, there's a serious sense of collective talent and harmony within their songs. And these guys, Boyz II Men, they separate themselves so far from the other groups of their time that it's honestly an injustice to lump them in here. But both Boyz II Men and Jodeci, it should be acknowledged, were the musicians. Like during both the lead up to and in the midst of this entire boy band golden era. Michael Bivins of New Edition discovered Boyz II Men when they auditioned for him in 1989. As you probably know from the song, he tells the whole story
to the end.
Now check this out, Biv.
I love an autobiographical bop.
Yeah, 100, dude, so good, so
like
good.
Jay-Z levels of personal discourse.
It's so, looking back on it, like it's not, it's like the most genuine way you could like market your thing coming out, like just being like 4 guys from Philly wanted to sing.
Yeah, dude, honestly.
Oh shit, okay. So it's 4 of them. They want to sing.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. It's like exactly what. Yeah, it's so good. Cooley High Harmony came out just as the 90s subculture was beginning to take over the consumption tastes of the public, and Boyz II Men had all the authenticity and cultural quality that NKOTB didn't. And it's this talent level that was a reason that Boyz II Men are one of the only 3 groups to ever replace themselves with a Billboard #1 single. The only other 2 artists to have ever done so were the Beatles and Elvis Presley.
That's hard as hell.
Good the Boyz II Men is. Also, huge shout out, one of Eric and I's favorite studios up here in the Pacific Northwest, Robert Lang Studios, is where they mixed not Cooley High Harmony, but the follow-up, Waters Run Dry.
Holy
all those.
shit!
They mixed there, and they have one of the gold records there, and I always kind of point to it as like,
what a cool,
legitimized, like,
yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, I see that Dave Matthews Band plaque. No, the other one.
Mixed Boyz II Men here.
Damn. Yeah, it's up by the pinball table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Down the hall. Down the hall of records. But yeah, they again they were massive.
They create their own gold rush of like Tony or like Kid and Play or
for sure, and they just kind of like, again, you'll always hear, even in the documentaries that are really, really, really recent, that the members of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and 98 Degrees and everybody, they're always like, yeah, we wanted to be like real singers, like we were about harmony, like Boyz II Men was.
Yeah,
It's always like there's always these guys are comparing themselves to Boyz II Men. So in summation, because I think we're gonna wrap this up and then we'll jump into episode 2, which will be Lou Pearlman's upbringing. But in the boy band history summation, I think we need to give a few honorable mentions and get into some drama. But we should give an honorable mention to Hanson.
Yes.
Because they certainly ushered in the wave of instrument playing, and this was described, I think, by Maria Sherman, purity ring wearing boy bands like the Jonas Brothers, One Direction, etc., etc.
Yep.
So you got to give them a little nod. I just didn't want to talk about them too much because they're fucking annoying. Who
Oklahoma's finest, man. they have been very nice to me on X, formerly known as Twitter.
There you go. One of them's kind of a goof, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think either Zach or Taylor was in a super group with Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick and James Eha and Adam Schlesinger, rest in peace, of Fountains of Wayne. It was called Tinted Windows. It's pretty sick.
Can you listen to that?
Yeah. Yeah. We could probably afford to license it.
Holy smokes. We might have to do that next episode. But again, I think this is going to get fun, guys. This is going to get fun. This is where I think it gets the juicy tail end of the episode. Let's address a little bit of the elephant in the room. Blink 182.
Sure.
Boy band.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, still Travis Barker.
He
was doing just fine in the Aquabats.
Your lips started quivering when I said Blink 182.
Well, I wasn't sure where it was going, and then I was like,
quiver.
Then I was like, there's a lot of, and like, yeah, of course, boy band, because without them being kind of them and like that, the music wouldn't be as accessible.
Yeah.
There's a reason they came from the Descendants show that they met at, or what the fuck ever, and not the Descendants themselves being, the breakout pop punk band.
Good point. Well made.
Well made.
They are less
Descendants
sexy.
had the clear
pop. They had the pop ethos and everything.
The clear guitars, right?
Oh yeah, the acrylics, the
acrylics.
The Lucite's, Dan Armstrong's.
Yes, I was gonna say the clear. I should have said acrylic.
They got clear, man. I only got TSA pre-check.
Yeah, dude. But hey,
I'll give it to you. Yeah.
Blink 182 is a perfect example of an exclusive build on the bad boy band member archetype. Blink 182 threw themselves into the major label system. They signed the major label. They wanted to go that big. At the same time, when TRL needed a delightfully delinquent alternative of cute boys who said dirty words, made fart jokes, and Blink-182's meticulous marketing would open up the floodgates for the pop punk mall emo explosion of the early 2000s.
I think that the MTV Spring Break pool party performance of theirs, I think that's Travis's first show.
Right.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, they're making an empire of Pee-Pee Poo-Poo wearing Oakleys with babes in the pool. Like, the whole thing is just like, there's this subversive stream and we're going to catch as much of it as we can.
Batman needs his Joker. The Backstreet Boys need the Offspring to take the baseball bat to those. You remember they brought out the mannequins and they had the faces of the Backstreet Boys?
Of course, yeah.
What's his name? The guy in the Offspring who's now like a fucking physicist or something?
It's Dexter.
Dexter Holland. Yeah, he smashes the heads off of them and is like, fuck boy bands! But it's like, you need this contentious thing. It's great for fucking making money. But yeah, Blink-182 sort of, again, we can't have 5 Seconds of Summer, that Australian put together boy band.
Yeah.
That's all plays pop punk music. Or you wouldn't have stuff like Cartel on MTV's Band in the Bubble in the early 2000s.
You wouldn't have Turnstile today. I don't want to say that. Turnstile gets all the credibility. Big shout out to Turnstile, unless you got another page in there.
Now we're getting saucy. Oh yeah, my part about Turnstile is actually coming up, so keep those thoughts handy.
All right.
But yeah, so. Again, like, you wouldn't have any of those bands. But finally, now we have groups like multi-member Brockhampton, who identify with and have sort of embraced the boy band term wholeheartedly, which is interesting because, like, young people now are coming along and sort of, like I said, like, embracing this whole boy band term. But even in the documentaries, all the members, like I was just saying when they talk about in reference to wanting to be thought of in the same way as Boyz II Men, boy, they hate the term boy band. They still struggle with it. Some of them, like Lance Bass, is like, I've accepted it. I've come around kind of accepting it now. But it's like, you can tell he still hates it.
Yeah.
They want to be thought of as, like, not that. And so, again, like, with all of these things, even with sort of like the rock and alternative influence on boy bands, you know, we've arrived in a modern era of genres like K-pop, which is just like a jacked on steroids version of everything that we've mentioned and that we will mention with regard to Lou Pearlman.
It's thrilling.
Yes, and I forget which group it is. They were just in town. They played at T-Mobile, and their whole aesthetic is built on like this Korn meets the Backstreet Boys. It's like I was seeing all the merch, and I was going, what fucking new band is this? Because some of their merch was like, damn, looking like really cool. And I mistook, they have a big S in their name. I'm totally drawing a blank. I'm so dumb and not up on to anything.
Unless the new BTS record sounds like Korn, it ain't that.
But yeah, but basically they have a big S, and it looked like a play off of the Slipknot S. And I went and listened to the music, and it's like hyper multi-bilingual, like jacked on steroids, blow your speakers out pop music. It was the most insane thing I think I've heard recently. But yeah, it's like we're in here joking about the taboo of like Blink-182, but we'll see at the same time too how Korn and Slipknot and all these bands sort of like also fit into this whole era that kind of helps boy bands. Whether you love them or hate them, it makes them massive.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and just say that a lot of musicians coming up are like-minded, similar age people. Like, how many punk houses did you and I live in together and Fanny live in that had just like 14 people in it and 2 bands came out of it? You know?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I think the added element is someone standing behind it with dollar signs in their eyes being like, oh, I got to find a way to make money off this.
Yeah, you'll hear, and these guys are very open about it. There's so many quotes where they're just like,
I lived in very closed-minded punk houses. I don't know anything about boy bands, and you guys know everything.
Well, I had to read like 5 books and watch a bunch of dumb documentaries, so.
It's because I've been in a couple.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, dude, we've been Eric and I have been playing in boy bands for a long time, my guys. So.
Kirk and I have received invitations to the Illuminati, whether we accept it or not, I don't know. But like, you've been there.
Yeah, totally.
You know what it's like.
Well, I think this is going to be a great place to pick up because in episode 2, we're going to get into how all of what we just talked about sort of influences young Lou Pearlman's upbringing. And yeah, we're going to get right into it. It's going to be saucy and fun. Again, first episode of the Deep Fried Podcast. Holy shit. Deep Fried Anything? I'm not even saying the fucking name right now. Deep Fried Anything Podcast.
It's right here. It's on the mug.
Yeah. Oh, can you show the mug to your camera just so... We're working on stuff. We're trying to get this Patreon...
Showing my mug to the camera.
Yeah. Hey, ooh-wee. We're working on stuff. We're trying to get these Patreon things going so we can get you guys free mugs if you're going to sign up for the Patreon and stuff. We'll have a bunch of announcements coming up. My outro plugs, real quick. My band, Gatsby's American Dream, is playing Saturday, November 15th at the Crocodile. It's an early show. Doors are at 5:30. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of our album, Volcano.
Damn.
The support is with Flesh Produce in Densmore. Please buy some tickets. We just got a ticket count. Tickets are going. Tickets are going. And I think that's why I'm here to plug it. So tickets are available at thecrocodile.com for that.
Hey, can I get like 8 guest spots for that?
Dog, you own the venue.
I know.
So...
I'll buy 2.
Isn't McCluskey playing at the Crocodile soon?
Are they?
I think so,
sure.
Yeah. I got to see them the last time, and I was texting Mooter the whole time, videos.
Of course.
He was just like, thank you. And then also my other band, Real Dawn Music, is the musical guest opening for comedian Adam Ray, December 19th at the Moore Theater. Tickets are basically sold out. I saw that there's like 5 or 6 individual seats left when I looked at the ticket listings. It's Adam's holiday show, so you know it's going to be like crazy. He always brings some guests around and whatnot. So if you can get tickets or have tickets, get prepared for that because it's going to be a good time. You can follow me on the platform of your choice at Real Dawn Music. You can follow Eric Hawk on the platform of your choice. Eric_Hawk. That's HOWK.
Thank you.
And then you can follow our guy here, Danny.
I shouldn't be followed.
Oh, follow this guy.
I'll be followable next time.
There's lots of adventures already. You can follow Thanny on Instagram. He's at Fat Crappy Sad.
He sure is.
One word.
Do you guys want to plug anything before we go and get out of here?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it, dude.
Eric Hawk debut solo record Sky King coming out, self-release. Release
I have
show.
a writing credit on that.
He does. Release show at the High Watermark in Portland, October 25th, and other efforts with Portugal the Man, Shish, coming out very soon. Singles dropping regularly.
Amazing. Go support these guys too. And then you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That's all we're doing right now. Although, what's going on with TikTok? That's a whole other thing. But it's at Deep Fried Anything Podcast. That's us at Instagram or TikTok right now.
TikTok for the moment.
Yeah, TikTok for the moment.
Deep State Anything.
Yeah. Just real quick, we want to thank you again for listening. If you've enjoyed the first episode of the Deep Fried Anything podcast and want to support us going forward, make sure you stay tuned. We'll be announcing a Patreon page. Like I said, you can register to be a member. We're going to do a one-time fee to start it off. $40, you get the free mug. It's going to allow us to cover the production costs here at Third Wheel Studios in Seattle. Shout out to them again. The Patreon page will give members early audio and video access to the forthcoming episodes. And the one-time membership fee of $40 will also allow you to get, like we said, the Deep Fried Anything mug. Thanny, show it off.
I mean, this is just a prototype. The logo's too big.
I think the logo's just right. Your hands just, you know.
big.
If we fuck up the logo, we'll just send them more mugs. It's all good. We
Is that a
appreciate
6-ouncer?
Yeah.
What, the mug
I think
size?
it's 12 ounces.
It's 11 ounces.
That's
Okay,
11 ounces? You just have huge hands.
Yeah.
It's like Andre the Giant holding a beer can. You're like, look at that little thing.
3-fingered. Wow, my God. Yeah, but again, we really appreciate any support you can give us at this time, even if, again, it's simply saying something to someone about the podcast, encouraging them to listen, following along, like we mentioned, at Deep Fried Anything Podcast. We're going to be back soon. We don't know when. We're figuring it all out on the fly for part 2. Yeah. The childhood, the upbringing of Lou Pearlman, and the golden era of boy bands.
I can't wait to talk about Art Garfunkel.
I know, it's going to be amazing. He comes up a lot.
Yeah, it's weird.
I told you guys to come up with a sign-off. I had one that I texted you guys, but I thought that's super fucking stupid. And so this morning, I was listening to some music, and Controversy by Prince came on. And my sign-off for this fucking podcast is going to be, don't believe in God, don't believe in me.
Wow. What you got?
I forgot to come up with a sign off. You came up with a sign off, didn't you?
I don't think I did. But
I don't need a sign off. I made the.
That one's for you,
mug.
Goopy Lou. I'm gonna call him Goopy Lou. That's my thing.
Awesome, I love it. You don't have. We don't have to figure it out right now. I just came prepared. So, thanks again, everybody. I'll see you guys next time on the Deep Fried Anything podcast. Later.